everything else versus Bitcoin essentially gets spent and dies.
I want to be able to have reactive security. And I think OpVault is today the most straightforward, easiest to use way to do that.
I will not be insulted by a clockmaker.
Overall, these kind of ways to make the network easier to both build on and interact with, I think is a really big deal.
If Bitcoin existed when we started Twitter, we would not have to go down the ad model path. I mean, it's simple as that.
Integrating Lightning into a social network is the killer app.
Hello, and welcome to the Bitcoin.review podcast, where we explore developments and projects with the people who actually make them happen. The show is supported by Pod 2.0, Sat Streaming, and CoinKite. If you're a new listener, I'm NVK. I run CoinKite, where we've been helping people secure their Bitcoins for over a decade. We make the Coldcard and fun products like the block clock. You can find more information about it on coinkite.com. Today we are doing the list. Is a really, really long list. And I have an awesome team and a new person here. So let's start. Nick from Mercury Wallet. Hello.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on. Mr. Odell, our most infamous and famous guest.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Rijndael, whose picture matches his camera.
Perfectly. Good morning.
Good morning. So guys, I'm going to just do a quick the housekeeping here. We have new Coldcard colors. So there is a few colors for people who want that, especially the orange version of it. Coldcard Q1 PCB test came in from test production. So the boards are looking good. And I think I'm going to spill the beans. There might be a third secure element. Because why not?
Badass.
Right? Matt, you saw the back of it. It's pretty cool. The little places for you to scrape the USB and the NFC.
I think I responded in all caps, I need it. I think that was my response.
Yeah, that is true.
Is it like easy to get to where you can scratch off the NFC antenna?
Yes, cool. You take the batteries off and you just scratch it.
That's a cool feature. Yeah.
What else? Oh, and the parts are all on the way. So there is a chance that this thing ships sooner than I want. What else? BTC Session is doing a workshop in the Miami conference for the people who want to learn about Coldcard and stuff. And if you want to learn more about segregated witness, Taproot, SHAR, a lot of like intricacies of Bitcoin cryptography. The last episode with Andrew Palstra and Adam Gibson was, I think it kind of like, it broke a little bit of my brain. That was deep. And a lot of things came out that many people did not know. It was kind of cool. So I'll listen to that.
What was like the most surprising thing from that episode that people didn't know?
I think people didn't really understand how like sort of like magical of a solution that solved a bunch of different problems at the same time. Mm-hmm. It solved the quadratic mining issue there. It solved the size of the witness discount and discount rate was sort of like a bit of a symmetric thing. It was kind of a magical number situation that was not planned for. Man, there was so much there. And, I think we all sort of like came to the conclusion of the inscriptions again that, it is what it is. And the same principles that defend your Bitcoin transactions defend the JPEG. So
that's right. Yep.
Suck it up. There's nothing you can do about it. But yeah. All right. Without further ado, Sparrow version 1.7.4. It now supports the border wallet stuff. He updated TORQ, dark theme, signed Windows installer binary. That's a good thing. Do people even check binary signatures on Windows? Is it even possible?
It is possible.
Is it? But you have to like install a bunch of crap. Like I can't imagine you just have like OpenSSL as part of like the stack on Windows. Okay. So you have to then check the binary.
Yep.
Okay.
All the way down.
And like you're using some GUI version of like GPG, and like how do you know if that thing is good? Like it's
right.
Turtles all the way down.
I mean the thing about Windows that like just makes me stop bulk right from the beginning is that they use the slashes in the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. It's like that was always like the weirdest part of Windows.
Yeah, and like line endings are a mess. The whole thing is a mess.
Everything is a mess, yes. Don't use Windows. Even if you're forced to, don't. Use a VM. DIY nodes.com public mainnet Electrum server edit. Use Whirlpool premix priority slider for change in mix fee target. Display a warning in the chosen mix fee target. Change the wallet gap limit. Support saving a tap signer backup as a binary file. Show PSBT QRs more compactly. Use different addresses when sending batched payments, the same payment name. Add context menu to the amount cells to copy values. Thanks, Craig. Another big release. Craig always shipping.
One of the things in this release that I thought was kind of cool was that he's using KMP Tor for the Tor support. I don't know if that's a net new dependency for Sparrow or if he just bumped the version, but for folks working on Bitcoin stuff, either on Android or on desktop, and you need like an embeddable Tor library, KMP Tor was written by a dude who like works on Tor and Bitcoin stuff. And it's like embeddable library for like Java applications. I'm thrilled to see that Craig is using it.
Nice. Well, Craig does seem to care and put effort into that, so it must have made sense. But I don't want to read into it. I haven't checked the commit itself, but it does look like it's a different library. He added that on as a new dependency, but it's a known one. That's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
If you're gonna add dependencies, dump all the other ones that you had before that are not commonly used to the one that's mostly used. That is the correct way of doing things.
I mean, I think his the border wallets integration is really clean. It's very on brand for Craig. First of all, that he shipped it so quickly, and second of all, he does such a good job with the UX. I mean, it's a little bit of a power user UX, Sparrow, but I feel like he balances that trade-off really well between power users and actually like making things clean and pretty.
That reminds me of Doc Hacks. It's the same sort of like
yeah,
people who can do the low level stuff, but like have some sense of UX, like they want to use it like a human, but they are the actual developer. It's kind of rare, but it does translate into very good integration.
Yeah, it's an expert-friendly tool, right? Like if you know what buttons you want to push, then like they're right in front of you. They're exactly where you would expect them. They obey kind of the principle of least surprise. Like when you click a button, it does what you think it will. If you know that you need that button, it's a really great piece of software.
Yeah, it's I kind of wish Electrum could sort of like get its shit together. It's never going to happen because it's like there's just too much baggage. But it would be nice if there was sort of like the counter competition for that. So like you have like sort of like an OG wallet, and then you have this new one, and then you can like compare results. It's like kind of nice thing. One can dream. The dream never dies for Electrum. All right, Specter Desktop feature enabled Taproot support for Trezor, Swan plugin, new design, improved UX, and bug fixes. That's cool to see that Specter is still alive and sort of still moving. I think it's only Moritz who's still holding it, right? Stefan is no longer doing much there. Okay. Wasabi version 2.0.3, Wasabi GPT, first AI Bitcoin wallet. Proof of concept for testnet. What are they using where are they using the GPT for? Does anyone know?
I have no idea. I hadn't heard of this before right now. I'm trying to read through the tag docs on GitHub. Is this real or was this an April Fool's Day thing?
Oh, I think it sounds like an April. I think if it fooled Johnny.
Yeah, so there's screenshots of, there's like a text box and you can like type.
We've been fooled. We've been fooled.
Like, hey, I want to receive some Bitcoin, and then ChatGPT gives you a receive address. That's and this is definitely a April Fool's Day.
That's good. I hope it returns a non-checksum Bitcoin address. Like a broken one. If you're going to do pranks with Bitcoin, make sure that the address never checksums.
It never actually works. Yeah, that'd be great.
Exactly. Well, presumably they didn't put it in the wallet, right?
Right. I don't know. if you're going to do the prank, might as well go all the way.
No, I love the idea that somebody would put in a ChatGPT API key into their Bitcoin wallet, right? Like
their
that's
privacy-focused Bitcoin wallet.
That's right. The privacy-focused Bitcoin wallet is sending requests to, the AI company backed by the same guy who made WorldCoin.
Right.
Seems like
which is probably
movie.
just a front for the NSA, anyways. Okay, so the actual version 2.0.3, Taproot coin join signing, and Taproot change outputs, opt-in manual coin control for payments, improved wallet loading speed, native run on Mac, the old architecture, and improved dust attack prevention. Matt, you're our privacy expert here. Any comments on that?
Well, this one doesn't send your inputs to a WorldCoin server. Instead, it sends its inputs to a chain surveillance server.
Okay, fair.
Different API. I'm really happy to see the native ARM64 on Mac. Like some Bitcoin software has been taking a little bit longer to do native builds. I recently just got a native build of Bisq that doesn't have to go through Rosetta, and it's like night and day. It's usable now. So more people should rebuild their shit for native.
Well, it's also a major work.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like a totally different instruction set.
Yep.
But it is fast. All right, so Mercury Wallet version 0.8.10. Mr. Nick, do you wanna read your release notes?
Yeah, I think that was just the fixed repeat seed generation. It was just a bug we had where we weren't deploying the seed correctly. The other issue is with all the Tor issues, we decided to implement I2P as well. So when Tor is getting hit hard and under DDoS, you can switch to I2P. That's been hard to do. I2P is very different than Tor from a release point of view. There's not very good. We use I2PD, which is I2P purple, which is not the main client. The main client is written in Java, and we didn't want to bundle in Java for a lot of reasons.
Nobody does.
It makes your release 2 gig or something. So we used the C++ version, but that's a bit rougher to build. So we had to build it for different architectures. And it gives less meta information on I2P, so you don't get as much. You don't see all the kind of like communications, hops of Tor. It is slower than Tor, just to be upfront, but the standard deviation in response times is consistent. So you get a consistent speed, which for us, that is actually, we prefer it these days that something be slower but be consistent. But yeah, we allow the option. So we've just, we did this about November last year, but it has been buggy, so it's been taking us quite a while to make I2P as smooth as Tor. But that's the approach we did, rather than try and do patches to Tor, which some people have done. We just thought we accept Tor is always going to be DDoSed and give people the option to switch to I2P, because a lot of DevOps tools do that as well. They try and support as many networks as possible rather than hope that one gets fixed.
Nick, a lot of people don't know Mercury Wallet. Do you want to give us a primer on it? I'd love for people to learn about it.
Yeah, so it's ultimately there was an idea by I think Ruben Samson in 2019 to do this state chains, which at a very high level, I think someone termed it best, is virtual open dimes. It's a way of moving state UTXOs around off chain we call it proactively non-custodial, but some people get upset when we say non-custodial. But for us, it's non-custodial. And we implemented the first. We built it, but we didn't just want to build it and it be another white elephant like a liquid sidechain or something. We decided to implement coin swaps mainly because at the time that state chains came out, Chris Belcher decided to have a go at coin swaps. So that we thought, I can move these UTXOs off chains. Coin swaps makes it a lot easier. So people have been using that. And but we're working a lot on the wallet at the moment to integrate Lightning. So we've been working a lot with the LDK guys. And the solution we came up with it wasn't fully blinded. So in the next 3 to 6 months, we hope to be fully blinded. So that means we won't have any knowledge of the state coins themselves. At the moment, we know the addresses. But once it's fully blinded, we won't even see the addresses. To us, we'll be issuing tokens. I mean, when I say token, basically like a hash, like a eCash token, and that's all we'll see. And then when people swap, we just don't know who's swapping with who. So the anonymity set will be a lot greater and a lot simpler to understand, because we find people get a bit confused with coin swaps as they compare it to coin join, and it's a very different privacy semantic. in some ways it's better, some ways it's worse, depending on how you look at it and depending what you're trying to do. So.
Sorry, go ahead, Rijndael.
Well, I was going to say two things. Like coin swaps are in a lot of ways kind of the opposite of coin joins, right? Because like with coin joins, they provide better fungibility for people who are involved in the transaction. And it's very obvious on chain. Well, it's maybe not obvious, but like, you can look at a transaction on chain and see that there was a multi-input, multi-output transaction happening. With coin swaps, what's really funny is, Alice does this transaction that just looks like she sent some coins, from an address to an address. Somewhere else, Bob does a transaction and, behind the scenes, they've swapped UTXOs. So there's not any direct on-chain linkage unless you have like some HTLC like refund clause or something in your coin swap. So what's interesting is like you can't tell on-chain that it happened. The good thing about that is it means that other non-coin swap transactions could be coin swaps. So you actually provide plausible deniability and like increased fungibility for everybody else if you do coin swaps really well. So what's funny about coin swaps is you actually want to like advertise that they might be happening. They're only a good privacy tool if like Chainalysis knows that coin swaps could be happening. So kind of a funny privacy semantic.
Yeah, so the current solution, we do take a fee. Like I think we take 0.5%. So you could identify all the coin swaps. Because you see that fee. Now, the reason to go fully blinded was twofold. One, we do have a DDoS issue in that people could, create all these stake coins and not use them. And that's a hit to our back end. So what we wanted to do was allow a Lightning payment up front. So because Lightning's great for DDoS, you force people to pay for a stake coin. So if people can DDoS us all day, we'll sell them stake coins all the time. So there's two things. It removes that DDoS issue that we potentially have, but also there's not that on-chain footprint. And but we will allow people to register addresses they don't want to swap with, because we noticed one of the issues that people don't like about Mercury from a UI point of view is when you swap, you could get your coin back, and people always assume that's a bug. So if people have a list of 8 UTXOs, they could put that 8 UTXOs and say, please swap, but we don't want one of those back in. And, you could say that avoids us ever having to do chain analysis, because if they want to put, certain coins in that list, that's up to them. We won't know. It's impossible for us to know. But we do write all the swaps into a sparse Merkle tree, and we have this protocol called Mainstay, so that if you were ever to swap and end up with a coin which is undesirable by whoever, you could say, well, I did a coin swap. I'm not bad. But I think in that sense it could be better privacy, but it really depends on how people look at it, because you're right, no one can detect it, so you don't have the issue of exchanges blocking you, but you always have that risk you end up with a dirty coin, and are they going to trust? You get up with a dirty coin. Is the proof that you participate in a coin swap good enough? I can't answer that question. Time will tell.
Well, it depends on the selective enforcer.
Yeah.
So, Rijndael, do you want to give us like a little tiny primer on state coins?
On like state chains? Yeah,
state chains.
I'll say this, and then Nick can tell me all the things that I got wrong about it, right? So the idea is there's an entity called an SP, which in this case is like Mercury Wallet. I think it stands for Service Provider is the SP. And the idea is when I go to deposit some coins into a state chain, me and the SP collaboratively come up with a shared private key. So we do like a multi-party computation to come up with a shared private key. You can derive a Bitcoin address from that, and I deposit coins into that address. Now, if I have these coins that are sort of collaboratively held between me and the SP, like we both have half of the key, and I want to send them to Odell, then Odell works with the SP to basically generate his own key share such that the two shares that he and the SP compute combine to like the same private key. And then what happens is the SP like deletes the half that it was holding for me. So the idea is that on chain, on Bitcoin, there's some coins that are held in a UTXO, but in this state chain, we can kind of pass that UTXO around by having the service provider like generate new shared key pairs with different participants and like delete the old ones. The problem there that might arise is, what if I sort of transfer this UTXO to Odell, and then me and the service provider go and collude to go and like respend it because I still have my half of the key. So what you should do, and what Mercury does, is they publish all of the Mercury transfers in this proof of publication ledger that's anchored to Bitcoin using Mainstay. So the idea is that if I send a state coin to Odell and then I go and collude with Mercury to spend it, then he has cryptographic proof that it was actually transferred to him and that Mercury colluded with me, and he can go on Twitter and say, look, I have irrefutable proof that they're bad actors. Everybody, like, take your money out, don't put money in. And then it's sort of cryptographic proof of exit scam.
Proof of rug pull.
That's kind of the model. Yeah, proof of rug pull. Mercury Wallet kind of goes above and beyond. And what they do is they handle key deletion in SGX, which is like a confidential computing environment. There's some problems with SGX, especially on like client devices, but they're relying on it to just sort of like make it harder for them to, you know, do the rug pull that you would then have cryptographic proof of. So like as an end user, you have multiple layers of protection. Like there's the economic thing of they don't want to burn their business down. And then they've, you know, made it harder by not having this stuff on like generic server hardware. I don't know, Nick, like how'd I do?
Couldn't have said it better. Making me look bad. It's good. It's good.
Amazing.
So, I mean, so like the cool thing, if you hear all that and you're like, well, what can I do with it? The nice thing is if you have a state coin and I want to transfer it to Odell wants to give it to NVK, NVK wants to give it to Nick. The only on-chain transactions for that are when you deposit the coin into the state chain, and then if you want to take it back out, all of the transfers kind of in the state chain are all off-chain. So it's kind of like a lightning channel where you have, you know, a transaction to open, a transaction to close, and then all of the transfers in Lightning are all off chain. It's a similar dynamic. And then, you know, because all these transfers are off chain, you can imagine that you could build a service where people just pass these things around and then you withdraw and you leave with different coins than you started with. And so that's exactly what Mercury Wallet does. They have like a swap system where you can put in 10, 1 million sat, you know, outputs and put them into a big swap pool, and you leave with different UTXOs than you started with.
You know, I have like another 5 sort of like questions and comments, but I think I'm going to save this for a state chain, maybe episode, and sort of we'll go through it, because I'd love to compare some of the trade-offs with some of the eCash solutions that are coming out. And I don't know, man, like it's like endless kind of like subject.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a lot that you could get into. I think one of the underexplored things about state chains is because it's a mechanism for handing around UTXOs using like multi-party computation, I think you could use it for helping other layer 2s. Like I've got a crazy back of the napkin idea for using state chains to pass around your end of a Lightning channel. So this would be really useful for like an LSP, where when fees are low,
by the way, I don't know if you're aware, but we did write a blip for that. Blip, I think 18.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So you probably have a way better idea than I do. Yeah.
No, it wasn't just done by us though. We did speak to people like Matt Corello and Antoine Riard to get their feedback.
Oh, cool.
It's just, you know, I think Shinobi wrote an article about it on Bitcoin Magazine as well. But it's just a spec. It's an idea. We may have got assumptions wrong. So if you want to rip it to pieces, we'd appreciate it. But it was basically a kind of like a high-level spec on how to integrate Lightning and state chain.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I'll find it for you if you want.
I love doing this shows, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, like it's great. Like I'm just gonna co-opt NVK's show to like.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's the purpose.
Awesome. Yeah,
I'll put it in the chat anyway, so for your reference. But yeah, we sent it to the blip. But I don't think the blip, the Lightning blip stuff is that well maintained. So I don't think many people looked at it. But yeah, have a read if you want.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Well, after all that, Nunchuk, Android, and iOS versions now support more local currencies. That was hard to come after that. Mempool project version 2.5.0. They've done a bunch of things on the Lightning Network Explorer and sort of like many other updates.
This is such a great release for Mempool.space. Like, I think this is the first self-hosted release that has the Lightning Explorer, which is great. Like, that's been kind of a missing feature if you run your own. And then I don't know if you guys have played with the like the block audit feature, right? So the idea is that if you when a block gets mined, miners don't have to put in what you think they're going to. And so your view based on the mempool of what you think the next block should be and what miners actually put into the next block can be wildly divergent. And so what this feature does is when you click on a block, it'll show you based on your mempool and what your node thinks the next block should be, compares it to what actually got mined, and then color codes transactions to show you transactions that, you know, should have been there but weren't, or, you know, were added or were different. And it's cool to keep an eye on for reasoning about like global mempool consistency, for seeing miners insert, you know, transactions that they were handed out of band. Like it's a really cool way to just learn about those dynamics.
Yeah, that's where sort of like I think differing opinion from a lot of people is that, like, you know, the mempool is not consensus. Nope. I think people greatly mistake that. People really think that the mempool should be reflected on what gets mined. And, you know, part of the Bitcoin protocol is that the miners can take whatever they want out of bound and like put it in. They can do their wonderful empty blocks, which they love to do sometimes. And we're going to see a lot more of that. There will be miner node collusion so that they can get their... And when I say collusion, it's not meant to be like, oh my God, this is bad. It's just that, you know, that is a thing that is possible in Bitcoin. Like a actor can pay a miner to get something in. That miner just has to have enough hash rate to get a block out. Mm-hmm. But that's perfectly, you know, and we used to have a lot more conversations about creating out of pool protocols and other means of adding transactions that way. There were some talks about like having a Lightning sort of like bidding system for you to include transactions that some miners may want to take with extra payments aside from the fees. And that sort of brings back to the whole sort of like, you know, inscription issue with, you know, miners. This is what Bitcoin allows you to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it's been interesting with inscriptions popping off to see transactions with, you know, fees well below what you think should be there. And some of it is, you know, out of band payments. There's also transaction accelerator services, which are great if you get stuck and don't believe in mempool full RBF. But yeah, I mean, if we had like full global mempool consistency, and if miners could only put in blocks what was in the mempool, then we wouldn't actually need proof of work, right? So like...
That's right. Oh, and more than that, I mean, imagine when we have like 2-3 billion people using Bitcoin. Can you imagine the depth of the mempool? Like, it's going to be like an absolute, like, you're going to look and cry kind of thing. Cause, you know, you're going to have like, you know, like a couple terabytes worth of transactions sitting there. And then you look at like, oh, it's 4 megabytes versus like, you know, a couple terabytes worth of stuff. Things are going to get weird. So people need to make their peace with it.
Mempools are never going to clear again.
And they cleared.
How it compares to all the non-replaceable transactions in the 1 sat per VByte permafrost.
Yes, sir. Oh, another thing I want to see that I wish people would move on from is like, I'd love to see the 1 sat VByte restriction removed. I'd like it to be like a thousandth of that. It can't be free, but it would be great if it was like greatly reduced, just to see where the cards lie, right? Like, I want to see what happens. This is a good time to do it. And that's I can't remember if that's consensus or not right now.
It's policy.
It's policy, right? It was not hard coded. So it's just part of the, how they call it now? The conformity, whatever.
Yeah, it's consensus in that, you know, 90+% of the network is running.
Yeah, but there's a new term people are floating around a lot now, the transaction conformity or whatever, which really is just code for our soft rules on the mempool and relay. So anyways, that's all getting very interesting. There's going to be a lot more weird, interesting, and dramatic things happening to the mempool in the coming years. You know, it's inevitable. All right, Robosats fixes on-chain payout race condition. LN payouts are more reliable. New UI elements when order with on-chain payout finish. Now users can temporarily up to 60 seconds spinner coin, blah, blah, blah. Robosats is cool and very timely brought up. I mean, Paxful closed down, you know, to apparently the claim is that it was some founder drama issues, and that's why they closed down. But I imagine there is other issues too. It's not easy running a centralized service. I mean, markets should never be a company, period. Markets need to be fully decentralized because they will be taken down.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'm excited to have Ray Youssef of Paxful on Scylla Dispatch right after I record this. It'll already be up by the time people listen to this. But, Robosats is interesting because it's not decentralized, in my opinion. So what's cool about Robosats is it's centralized, but it's run through Tor, and the founders are NIMs. So we don't know who they are. So as a result, the UX is more convenient than something like Bisq that tries to be more robust and more distributed. But you get some levels of censorship resistance because the founders are NIMs rather than something like HodlHodl or Peach or Paxful, where those are centralized services with known founders. So it's a cool trade-off balance. I kind of like how pragmatic it is because Bitcoiners tend to over cypherpunk things, we try and go as extreme as possible. And that's also what I think is cool about Nick's project, Mercury Wallet, right? Is that they made some pragmatic trade-off balances. And as long as you're clear with what those trade-offs are, you get convenience and UX benefits out of it.
But it's also steps, right? I mean, you want things to start to happen before we have more perfect solutions, which may not even be achieved.
Yeah, you want options too.
That's right. Plus, if you have 50 different semi-centralized services doing the same purpose, there is less chance that they get taken down because there is only so much resources on the bad guy side, right? Yeah. So anyways, it's interesting what's happening, and it's very timely with the whole Nostr thing too, because there's a proposal from I forget his name now, from Galoy, the guy from Galoy, the main dev there. There is a proposal for a note kind, if I remember right, for a P2P trading. So that could be more sort of integrated right in the protocol. There is another market that is on the list as well that's in the works. And I don't know, it's just a symbiotic sort of relationship there. It's just so perfect because you have the comms to do the bids and asks, right? And then the offers to Oracle or to arbitrage, right? And then you have Bitcoin contracts that could be anything. It could be as simple as the PSBT contract all the way to some complex DLC shit, right? It doesn't really matter as long as people have a means to coordinate and then a means to actually enter the contract. I think we're sort of going to a weird, awesome place right now.
Yeah, and Nostr is such a great tool for things like that. I'm really, really interested in Nostr as a backend for Bitcoin software to do market making or matchmaking for actual trading, but then also for things like coin joins and coin swaps. Because, some of the things that are really nice about Nostr are identity is super, super cheap. So you can have your software generate a new identity on every session and have it be very ephemeral. It, uses the same cryptographic primitives as Bitcoin. So if you have a Bitcoin wallet, you can already sign, with...
It's Frost, though, so most clients don't support it yet.
Well, you don't have to do Frost, but you can, which is pretty cool. But then the other thing that's really nice from a privacy perspective is anybody can make a relay, and you can have clients publish to multiple relays. So yeah, it might be that on the main, Damus relay, you see some bids and asks for a market, but you could also have private relays that people are running to do little private pools or private markets. It's a great primitive for these kinds of services.
I mean, what's cool here is that you have essentially a system to broadcast, right?
Yep.
A message, which really is what you want to make an offer or a bid, right? It's the bids and offers are public in a way, right? And they could be public in your small sort of universe if you want to have a private universe, let's put it this way. But ideally, within the order book, that's all private bids and asks, right? And that could be as simple as a Craigslist offer, right? That in a way is a offer. It doesn't have to be what an actual exchange does granularity. So it really sort of does that beautifully. Now, if you want to have further private coordination, you can use the private messages, or you can just use a different system as well, right? That is better for that. It has forward secrecy, I don't know, Matrix or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the hard part. The hard part is not talking private with each other anymore, right? Like there is means of doing that. It really is making a censorship-resistant bid and ask system.
100%.
And like that's really addressed with this new protocol. So anyways, very timely. You should bring that up on I heard I was in a spaces yesterday with Ray and Brad, but I didn't like ask a lot of questions. Maybe Odell can inquire a little bit because they have this protocol they've been working on called No One.
Yeah, just for transparency, I am involved with No One's. So
Okay.
only on the white paper that they're building.
Okay.
Yeah, I got introduced to them about a month ago. No, 4 months ago to work with some people on the white paper to kind of decentralize the Paxful approach. But I mean, it's a well-written white paper. I think it's going to be released in 10 days' time. But I don't think it's anything that none of you guys would have thought of. It's using Nostra, DLCs, kind of doing web of trusts for decentralizing oracles and stuff. So, and I was introduced to them by Ray a while ago. So
very cool.
But yeah,
That's awesome.
the people on the paper, they're well-known, people in the Lightning space and privacy space. I've just been managing geniuses for Ray. That's what I'd say. It's been a very easy job.
and there is no token, right?
No token. No. It's
amazing.
Bitcoin,
That's how you know.
Yeah, it's Bitcoin, Lightning, Nostra, DLCs, all the stuff you guys know. It's just putting it into one document, and hopefully no one
That's pretty cool.
can get the resources to build that. So
it can't come soon enough. Like seriously, it can't come soon enough. All right. Cashu NUT-08 lower lightning fees implements NUT-08 mint returns overpay lightning fees to the wallet. New fake wallet backend for testing. Postgres support enable CLI improvements and use Pydantic setting class. I have not seen Postgres written with the actual SQL in a long time. That threw me off for a spin.
How you know it's legit? It's the real Postgres.
That's right. So yeah, I mean, Cashu is such a fucking cool project. We have booked, I think, or are booking an episode with Eric, Kali, and Matt, and there might be one more person I can't remember now. I'm sorry. To just talk about eCash. It's been a while. Rijndael, great.
Yeah, I think it's me.
There you go. You should have lifted your hand, sir, instead of me just letting myself embarrass.
I didn't know it was a surprise.
And I get confused when guests repeat in like different episodes.
Yeah, I mean, when I joined today, I thought that was the conversation
That's
we
right.
were having. I didn't realize it was a list episode.
That's right. So anyways, I am really looking forward to that one.
This is now an eCash episode.
That's right.
Let's talk about nuts. Yeah.
So we'll get into the nitty-gritty of this stuff there. I think people still sort of super confused about this stuff. All right, Liana version 0.3.1, hot and advancing. There's a bunch of updates. I won't get into it. Liana is awesome, but until we have upvote, it's theoretical in my view. It's still 0 point something. Oh, by the way, that's something that came out on the episode with Polestra and Adam. I asked some of because you can do a lot of Taproot. You are almost a Covenants with but you aren't. And like we discussed, like deeply, like where you stopped being and where upvote sort of resolves that. I think it clarifies for a lot of people why you need it. That part was cool. All right, Samurai Dojo version 1.19.0 from official spook to unofficial spook. Just kidding. Update core version 24.0.1. Added option to off 47 for DMT off. Updated Whirlpool CLI version 0.1.0.6. Matt, you probably have opinions.
No, I mean, just shout out to the Ronin Dojo team. They keep shipping.
Awesome. HodlHodl, major improvements. UI, UX improvements, added new regions, new version of the offer create, offer accept pages, improve mobile version. It's kind of cool that this guy still managed to be around doing essentially P2P markets, right? It's a feat. It's kind of like the guys from Tether too, like it's being alive in this space, being centralized is hard. Can you use HodlHodl as American? No.
I think you can, but the payment options are really limited. It's like if you want to use it for your Zelle transfer for some reason, you can do that.
Okay.
No, you could use stablecoins.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Rijndael, is there any software you don't use or don't know about? I'm just curious. There must be something.
I don't really use Samurai Wallet, so I'm always like at a loss whenever. Yeah, like I'm always really confused by their branding because like I know like the generic, like somebody writes a white paper about here's a thing that we can do in Bitcoin, and I like understand it from the paper, and then I'll have somebody that's a hardcore Samurai fan blowing up my DMs about like, oh yeah, Samurai supports that, and they'll be like, it's a wheelbarrow X3. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like, that's not a word to me.
Yeah, the ninja stuff is like, it's kind of like, it's a barrier of understanding. You know, it reminds me of kids with those like ninja stars from the mall from back in the day. But, you know, it's cool that they're still pushing, right, for privacy and nobody's in jail and all that stuff. Like, it's nice to have options.
Well, I mean, it's also like one of the things that's great about Bitcoin is that anybody can make a client that's compatible with the protocol and nobody can stop you. So the Samurai folks have very strong opinions about what should be in a wallet, and like they just go ship.
Yep.
And like they don't really give a shit if it conforms to anybody else's ideals about what should be in a wallet. Like they just go do it. And if that's the wallet that you want, it's great that it exists.
And it was like that from the beginning. I still remember when they supported PSBT. Very few were willing to support it. All right, Blixt version 0.6.5 added ability to set maximum LN fee for payment, proportional to the amount, added the ability to change LND log level. I haven't used Blixt yet.
I have.
Have you? Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, essentially, we're trying to build we're trying to integrate Lightning into Mercury Wallet the way Blixt was architected. You know, it's very much running a standalone little node, a mini node inside of a wallet, so it's totally non-custodial. So we have spent a lot of time in the Blixt Telegram group, which is a pretty active group, but we're doing it with LDK as opposed to them doing it with LND. But it's basically having your own little mini node, so not necessarily doing routing even. You know, just connecting to like a larger LSP, and that gives you the true non-custodial, totally opposite of Wallet Satoshi type approach. So,
and this is phone wallet.
They're mobile only, yeah. I think
mobile only. Okay.
Yeah, I think they use Neutrino.
Yeah, I think they did the same thing that Breeze used to have, or maybe still has. I haven't checked on where Breeze is, but you know, they run a like stripped down LND node that uses Neutrino in the backend to get block filters, and like, you know, they probably default to their own source for that, but you can override it. But yeah, it's one of the few you have a full node on your phone like Lightning wallets.
Wasn't this wallet a different name before?
Blixt? I don't.
Or no, I'm probably just confusing projects. Oh, the other one is Blink, which is formerly known as Bitcoin. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was not an April Fool's joke.
That's right. Okay, so let's go Zeus first. Zeus version 0.7.4, fee bumping, channel sorting and filtering, defaulting voice settings, single channel view redesign, activity filters, persistent activity filters, 23 new fiat currencies, 7 new themes, display settings, big keypad. Evan is an absolute beast to this. It is my daily driver now for Lightning with Albi as the backend, so I'm still using it as a custodial sort of wallet. But boy, it's amazing.
Well, for those of us who run Lightning nodes, there is literally no other option besides Zeus. So I'm extremely grateful for their team.
And I'm really glad that he added fee bumping this release, because as Matt said, the mempool is never clearing ever again.
Finally have an ally on this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still doing 1 sat byte transactions. Just gotta wait.
Forever.
Yeah, but it does eventually go. It's amazing. Like if you just have low time preference, you can still get them in. Not for Lightning purposes.
You know, it's a funny story about that. So when I first made my call that the mempools were never going to clear again and this time is different, I made the bet with Marty, and mempools briefly cleared.
I remember.
Just barely cleared. And then I told him I was going to pay the bet off in a 1 sat per byte transaction, and he got really mad at me, which tells you all you need to know, because he's afraid that the bet won't clear.
That is beautiful. Did you pay him in a 1 sat byte?
We doubled or nothing, so I haven't paid him anything yet. But when the time comes, it'll be 1 sat per byte.
Do you also double the fee to 2 sat byte?
No, sir, that's not the bet.
Okay, I see. So it's not everything was doubled, just the 2 parameters there. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Let's see here. I want to just see this. Somebody sent a link. Oh, yeah, there you go. It's an inscription, Matt, your bet. Okay. Blink, formerly Bitcoin Beach Wallet, renamed Blink. 2.1.79 LNURL access icon, fixed contact list, reinitialized correctly when tapping the cross, scanning an expired invoice to show news alert. Do you guys know if Bitcoin Django is the same wallet repackaged, or it is, right?
My understanding it is, but you were there.
No, I listen, like I was trying to be a normal person using Bitcoin like a normal person. Like, you don't ask like to go look at the person's other wallet who's receiving the money with fiat. So I was respectful that way. It was pretty crazy. Like everything accepts like Bitcoin there.
That's badass.
It's amazing.
It was weird because it was just natural. There was this one kid who was alone at this like coffee booth at a farmer's market. And the first time I went, because I went to 3 different markets, it's all the same people in different days. And one of the days he was there alone, so I don't think he had access to the wallet. So he WhatsApped the person who had the wallet to send him a QR via WhatsApp for me to pay the QR for the Lightning invoice. So people will find a way.
So, yeah, when you were there, if you went to, buy coffee or, whatever with Lightning, was it, I got to go get the special iPad from
No. Just like here. Yeah. Like it was like,
wow.
It was like, not even like no explaining, no face. Like people make a face, either happy or kind of like you're annoying me.
Oh, you're one of those
people. You were one of those people, sure. Right?
Yeah. It's a full-on grassroots circular economy down there.
Yeah, it totally is. Like it's.
Love to see it.
With it's Lee is one of the main guys who did a lot of this, and like he's done a tremendous job there. It's crazy, especially the butcher. The butcher was a Coldcard user. Like
that's awesome.
I was like, oh, so you're the Coldcard guy, and we're talking, and he's like piling up the meat for me in a cooler. That was surreal.
That's pretty cool.
On the topic of Blink Wallet, formerly Bitcoin Beach Wallet, this goes back to the previous discussion, which is they made a very pragmatic set of trade-offs where there's a multi-sig custodian holding the majority of the community's funds, and then the community is using a single sig custodial Lightning wallet. And why did they do that? They did it because the actual users don't want to deal with liquidity management and channel management and all that other stuff. Yep. And so there's a very pragmatic trade-off balance. And it just, as long as it's made clear to users, to me, that's an acceptable risk. But we need to make the tools better as we go.
There is 2 points that I've been making for way over a decade. One is like, trust is never going away. Like, we're people. We're going to have to trust each other. That includes for a fully sort of self-verified transaction in your core client. You're trusting that the other guy doesn't shoot you. And you need to find efficiencies, right? And there is other sort of trade-offs. And like, way back then, we thought that the payment terminals that we made were going to be used in a little village where there is one guy with a payment terminal that functions as the bank, and then everybody else in the community kind of like banks with the guy. Because you can't scale base layer to everybody, period. You can't scale Lightning to everybody. So like you're going to need to find these models. And also like people don't care. I trust my neighbor, right? Like, and if my neighbor has $1,000 of my bags, so be it. Like, it's okay.
Well, and like with the Blink, formerly Bitcoin Beach Wallet model, right? Like part of the trade-off there, right, is it's custodial, but it's custodial kind of in your community.
That's right.
Like, the guy who's running the server. So if he absconds with the money, like you go burn his house down, right?
You know who to punch. That's key to trust.
Exactly.
Dunbar.
Yeah. And I think with a lot of systems, like part of the pragmatic trade-off that you can make is if people know who they're trusting and if they have some escape hatch, then maybe you're okay with something a little bit more custodial. Like I think where it's interesting to have things like Chaumian mints that can communicate over Lightning is that the switching cost is so low, right? If you're in a Chaumian mint and you're worried about your money, you can get your money out and either move it to another Lightning enabled Chaumian mint very cheaply, or, you know, maybe resolve down to base layer, and that escape hatch puts pressure on the custodians to stay honest because the switching cost is so low. And so there's, you know, ways that we can like balance these incentives, that it doesn't have to be black and white of like either it's fully custodial or it's, you know, every butcher needs to have a cold card, right? Like there's a lot of middle ground between those two things.
I mean, if they are my butcher, they take so much of my money, they do need a cold card. It'd be too much to hold on Lightning. There's not enough liquidity for that. But the key here is like it really brings back to Bitcoin fixes everything. Bitcoin fixed Chaumian eCash. that is my point. It was stupid before. Like now it's amazing. You know, it's the same with Nostri. Like he fixed that. Like you'd be silly to do that without it. Now you can do that like in a meaningful way and keep everybody sort of safe. That's we should definitely address some of that on the next episode about eCash. All right, TORQ V0.19.1 dashboard page showing on and off chain balances, more advanced automations, and a few other things. I don't even know what TORQ is.
TORQ is cool. It's still pretty early for them, but they're building tooling for people who are managing large or really complex Lightning deployments. So think like nodes with lots and lots of channels and or lots and lots of nodes.
The screenshots are awesome.
Yeah. So like if you think about it, if you're running, whether it's like an LSP or you're doing a merchant thing, or maybe in the future you're running a really well capitalized Chaumian mint with, you know, lots of Lightning support, like you don't want to be managing 1,000 channels across 8 nodes with LNCLI. Right? Like you need automation, you need tooling, you need dashboards, you need like operational support for that. And so TORQ is trying to build operational tooling for like complex Lightning node setups.
Do you know if they're somehow related or in talks with the guys from EMC, which is Block's new Lightning liquidity providing service? Because those guys are awesome. It was I don't want to dox people, but it was a different company that was acquired that sort of ended up with that project. And I think they're going to have like something like 8,000 coins for liquidity or 80,000 coins for liquidity. I can't remember. There's a zero difference there. But, you know, and the goal of that entity is to essentially put those coins at liquidity. And I think they're still in the early days of developing the plan. Sounds like they're match made in heaven here.
Yeah, I don't think those two teams are talking yet. I should probably connect them. But I think you're talking about C equals, right?
Yes,
which is like
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, C equals. Yeah, it's still pretty early for them, but they're trying to provide, you know, Lightning. I'll call it Lightning services for both like wallets and merchants and other people who are building on top of Lightning. And as you mentioned, they have a lot of capital to deploy, and they're, you know, anxious to do that.
Yep. I know one of their guys. If you need, they'll connect the two.
Cool.
Very cool. All right. LND version 0.16.0. Pathfinding upgrades, Watchtower improvements, RPC updates for devs, more backend options. LND always comes with some controversy around itself, but it does keep shipping. I mean, they do good work. Core Lightning. I'm going to call it a C Lightning.
Wait. Just on LND real quick. It is incredibly frustrating that you just have random channels force close on you, especially when we have mempools as full as they are. And I just want to say that out loud.
No, say it louder. Say it louder, and we're gonna repeat it.
And it's easy to deny that the implementation is auto force closing without user interaction until you start managing multiple Lightning nodes that are using LND and connected to each other. So you're the operator of both nodes, and there's no way that channel force closed unless the implementation did it on its own. So I've seen it happen maybe 5 or 6 times to my nodes.
So fix it. Guys from LND, fix it. All right, C Lightning version 23.02.2.
I'm just going to plant a flag that C Lightning has the best release names in the entire Bitcoin software space.
And I was going to skip it.
Okay.
But now you're going to have to, now I'm going to have to read it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So it's version, 23.02.2, the CBDC backing layer 3.
Yes, it is funny. Did that get released around April 1st? No. I don't know. Like, now I'm scared of these releases.
No, it was 3 weeks ago, so you're good.
Okay. P requiring a full description, not just a hash, has been pushed back since broke BTC Pay server and LM bits. Zombie channels changed, reverted as some prune channels were found to be still functional. Static channel backups no longer sent the nodes. Sounds like a bunch of fixes that broke things got reverted.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a revert release. Lightning Terminal version 0.9.0 alpha. This release of Lightning Terminal Lit includes updates, versions, integrated LND, pull, loop, Friday Demons.
Cool.
Yep. The Bitcoin Company version 1.27. Earn rewards automatically by linking your Visa or MasterCard in your app. Send gift card as a gift via email or Nostri DMs. That's cool. Set a preferred Bitcoin address payments. Type P2SH, segue to Taproot. I like that they are like one of the only gift card companies that's like a real Bitcoin company. They're not sort of like doing shitcoins or they're not like, like fiat like company. They're like legit Bitcoiners. And another thing too is that people don't realize that like, gift cards is how cash happens outside of the cash system.
And specifically, you can get no KYC Visa cards, which is extremely useful, and it's not without risk on their end. They're really putting their necks on the line there.
I wonder if they have an API to be able to do this, because you can send gift cards over Nostri DM. So if you could programmatically buy a gift card and then send it over Nostri DM, then you could plug it into these exchange protocols that we were talking about. So then you could build a, HodlHodl Lightning Sats thing where it's like you buy and sell Bitcoin for gift cards programmatically over Nostri, which would be super fucking cool.
Essentially plugging the Visa network.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's exactly how people use Amazon gift cards. Like it's and yeah, this is going to get very interesting fast. ZEBEDEE borderless payments. New feature for borderless payments let users go from one local currency to another in seconds. I assume they hold the FX bags. LNURL-pay extension. Now this extension contains the option to create Lightning address for each LNURL-pay code you create.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It's Ben who pushed this one. It's funny, like I've learned about Kali and LN bits. I had not made that connection before. It's pretty amazing. All right. Nostr clients. I'm not going to get into details aside from a couple things here. So Damus has a new version. It's actually 1.4.1 now in test flight. Has a bunch of new updates. JB keeps on pushing like a maniac still. And yeah, it's really cool to see. Nosotros, new release as well. Amethyst has a new feature that is the first time that I go like, oh, Android got something first. They have the NIP69, could not have been a better number, polls. So it's a type of note that is a poll, and to vote in the poll you have to zap it. So you cannot. It's a lot better poll results because people have to pay to vote. So that's really cool. That should come to everybody soon. Snort.social version 0.1.6, NIP5 management page, and a bunch of other things. Nostri.chat, that's Pablo. Keep on building. And NDK is coming, the Nostri development kit. Algia, Nostri CLI client, written in Go. I gotta try this one. I think it's gonna be the one that's gonna be awesome. I haven't played with it. What clients do you guys use?
I usually just do Damus for like 90% of everything. I have a couple of Nostr bots that are like hand-coded Rust to publish shit to Nostr. I'm really excited about things like Algia. Like, I think we need more easy to compose Nostr CLIs for doing things like having cron jobs or bots or whatever that can just like publish events to Nostr. That stuff is super, super useful.
Or to test your relay.
Or to test your relay.
Or to or to compose a note to undelete your key.
Who would ever do that?
Who would ever do that? I mean, I see a red button, I press it. Yeah, so that one is very cool. I'm really enjoying Gossip on the desktop. It's kind of fun.
I'm wondering how long I can last keeping my legacy NSEC secure.
Oof. Here's the thing. Depending on when we figure out key delegation, depending on how it gets rolled out, we might actually have to abandon our old keys. There might not be a way to roll over. Unlikely, actually.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. It's probably very unlikely.
So, in full selfishness, I've emailed Andrew Polstra and I've tried to nerd snipe him into because I know he likes side projects that are unrelated to Bitcoin. That's how he finds Bitcoin ideas. So yeah, if you know a cryptographer, try to nerd snipe them to look into key delegation on Nostr, to the detriment and dismay of many Nostr core devs too. It's a fun tug of war there, but I think if we can get some of the people who sort of worked on adapter signatures on Bitcoin to go look at this, they are the people who will be able to shove interesting crypto primitives into existing crypto primitives. Yeah. We're going to need something short of magic to make this happen. And it's not going to be DIDs. All right. Any other Nostr software updates you guys have? All right.
Wait, actually, I have a question for you. What's the deal with BRB? I mean, are you actively maintaining it? Should people be using that relay?
Be right back.
So no.
I don't know. So we know what the problems are. And when we started that, there were no sort of diversity of like that we believed enough diversity of implementations for a relay. So it was done from scratch. And anything you do from scratch in 2-3 weeks, it's going to have done from scratch issues.
Yep.
We know exactly what they are. We just don't have the bandwidth to fix them. But I also doubt that it would be a big contribution anymore because there's a lot of good stuff out there now. And there's more coming. So I think what we're going to do is there's a few other ideas that are not the obvious ideas. It's not just a relay or just a client kind of thing that we want to explore. And that could be the sort of like the base for what we want to explore.
Well, I mean, it seemed like at the start, the thing that you guys were doing that was more interesting was indexing.
Yes.
Right. And so I imagine that like where you could add value is on custom indexing.
Or just text search.
Interesting things. Yeah, right.
But again, like, we are not like people who scale servers well. Like we're hardware people. So we tend to just make a server that's bigger, which is kind of great, but it has limits. So we're going to try to find a project for it that sort of like matches more how we do things. And we do have some cool ideas, but I feel like we don't want to also suck the oxygen on some things that could be people who are interested in doing that as a company or doing that full time. Like, I don't want to compete with projects of people who are actually committed to Nostr with a project that we're just doing as a hobby as well. Because, it sucks their interest of the project. There's something that's achieving the same. So we're just giving that space out and sort of works out that way. But yes, we do definitely want to do more things there. I think we can contribute somehow on that. So yeah, BRB. And now the boosts. Thank you for the support, guys. North of the Wall, Raspberry Pi hack clip on 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Now I truly understand why the pros don't run LN nodes on Raspberry Pis. Yes, Raspberry Pis are a shit coin. Terrible platform for everything. Bitcoin.review should be the curriculum in every college. Love the improving my knowledge of BDK and LDK. Thank you, sir. High Traverse. Simplify Fountain. Thank you. Ape Randier. Ape. Oh, there you go. Thank you for letting me know how to say Ape Myth Randier. Awesome. Nerds. Thanks, sir. Obex. Epic Rip. Miro comment was hilarious. Had also thought of shitcoiners as a moat. Very trendy. Mirko Rainer. Boosting because guy won't. Thank you. Ahaniga. Awesome. Gert. The best thing about podcasts, where I understand about 5% of the discussion, is that the other 95% is a learning opportunity. Thank you, guys. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to get the zaps and boostograms and all the support. Your funds go to zaps really nowadays. That's where all the sats that come into the show go. So thank you. Project Spotlight. Bitcoin Time Capsule. Create a time lock wallet on BTC Capsule. And when the time comes, your Bitcoin will be available to whoever you choose.
Op vault when.
Exactly. You know, all the lock time stuff for actual user is kind of pointless because you can always cancel the transaction by spending a UTXO. It's kind of silly. The time lock stuff is interesting for Lightning and other sort of solutions out there, but not, I don't know, like, because it was kind of sold to people as if it was interesting for you to create some sort of like, future self deed solution. But that never worked. So yeah, upvault when, and it looks like we might get CTV with upvault too. We're organizing another episode on upvault. A lot has changed and being improved.
A lot has changed in the spec for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have not been following, so I'm going to use that opportunity. Speed Bitcoin POS, a mobile app providing a Lightning payment-based point-of-sale solution. We need more of those. Blow water or blow water? No, either blow aider or blow water. There's only one W. Bloater. I don't know. Nostr web client focusing on chat. 10101.
It's 10.10.1 is how they say it. Yeah, this is I'm really excited to see this come out. I don't know if you guys followed Itchy Sats at all. Did you follow that project? So the idea was it was using DLCs, discrete log contracts, to do non-custodial leveraged Bitcoin trading. So like you could run an app on your computer and do either a leverage long or a leverage short trade against Bitcoin. And it was all settled in DLCs. So it's completely non-custodial. You have, Oracle risk because it's a DLC, but you don't have counterparty risk of somebody running away with your money. You don't have to deposit money at an exchange. And that worked on layer 1 Bitcoin. And the team really wants to do DLCs over Lightning, both for trading, but then also for doing stable sats that's not backed by a centralized custodian.
Oh, that's why 10.10.1. It's Bitcoin. Okay. 21.
Yeah, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Cool project.
Awesome. Okay. Next is bolt cards with LEDs that light up when you use them. That's always fun. I love induction. For people that don't know, NFC cards don't have power internally, so they use induction, which is just a coil that gets illuminated by another coil that has power and generates power, and then lights up a LED on this case instead of powering a chip.
These are really funny. All of the artwork are like cartoon characters that have laser eyes, and so when you use the NFC, the laser eyes light up.
Yep,
that's fantastic.
Plebin, peer-to-peer Bitcoin marketplace, buy, sell, rent, exchange, and learn. That's kind of cool. How do they accomplish that? Let's open. How is it decentralized? Is it decentralized? Does it even?
I don't think it's decentralized. I think it's just it's like Craigslist for Bitcoin stuff.
All right, that's a perfect candidate for a Nostri replacement. We'll put up a bounty.
On that note, It goes back to our previous conversation again, where it's just a pragmatic trade-off balance that was made. On this announcement, it was actually really funny because there's a little bit of controversy because when you choose your location, you can't choose Russia. So there was a bunch of Russian Bitcoiners that were pissed off, and people thought it was because of like sanction compliance. Mm-hmm. But it turns out that it's actually run by a bunch of Polish Bitcoiners who hate Russians. So it was a bunch of base Polish people who then told the Russians to go make their own fucking site, which I don't know. Just a nice little drama context.
Yep. You know, like I kind of love the idea of Bitcoin balkanizing further and Bitcoiners balkanizing further. There was always my sort of like vision of the cypherpunk Bitcoin future where you have like this Bitcoin tribes. I wouldn't call it a gang, but a Bitcoin tribe that's sort of like, you know, they have their sort of like kind of like a Japanese cypherpunk thing, where it's like you have these districts and they're all sort of like, you know, trying to up each other and they have different, you know, shoguns and like different sort of like incentives. And, you know, the more different people we have with different incentives, the more protected we are because nothing changes. But first we need to have aggregated signatures and upvote. And then we can stop changing everything. And BIP 324 as well. And then the list continues, right? Like there is like 50 things I want selfishly, but yeah, that's
well. And like the next thing on the list is about UTXO, right? So that's another one that maybe we want to
go for it.
Yeah.
No, please.
Oh well, so this is Floresta, which is really cool idea. So UTXO, if people don't know, your Bitcoin node has to keep the UTXO set so that it can check all of the transaction inputs and make sure that they are in fact UTXOs and that they haven't already been spent or that they're non-existent money. So that means that as Bitcoin usage grows, this database that your node has to maintain gets bigger and bigger over time. What UTXO does is instead of storing the whole UTXO set, you just store a Merkle root. And then whenever somebody wants to transact, they send with their transaction like a Merkle inclusion proof that shows that their inputs are actually in like the global UTXO set. So it's very literally a space bandwidth trade-off. It could mean lower hardware requirements for running Bitcoin nodes at the expense of like more bandwidth. So, you know, some people are working on UTXO, and what's cool about this project is it's a Electrum server where the back end of it uses UTXO. So then you can like plug any wallet you want into it. So if you have a wallet that uses Electrum, then you can have the backend for that wallet using UTXO, which is super cool.
Man, nothing is being worked on Bitcoin, right?
Bitcoin. Yeah.
And this is the short fucking list, man, for an episode. Like, I mean, seriously, like this is only 2 weeks of stuff. Okay, like we actually cut out like probably another like 20 things, and there could have been more if we just look further.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to throw a bunch of stuff about BDK on the list, but the list was already many pages.
Bring BDK, please.
Yeah, BDK is working on their 1.0 release, and it includes like they've been doing a lot of refactoring and ripping out things that people either don't or shouldn't be using. And so it's going to make BDK a little bit more composable and easier to like pick and choose what parts of BDK you want to use. So it's a really big release for them. And Bitcoin wallet authors are going to have like better tooling for building Bitcoin wallets, which is
no, I love BDK. I think it's the best way to go about it, especially because in Bitcoin you don't have to worry about too much about diversity of implementation. If anything, it's kind of nice that there's less implementations. Like in other protocols that you don't have a fixed consensus, then you want the opposite, right? You want more diversity so that they don't start implementing things that are not part of the protocol. But anyways, yeah, no, the BDK stuff is pretty cool, and Steve is awesome, and he's a gray beard.
Well, and like sometimes BDK provides some really nice abstractions over other really high quality like Bitcoin libraries, but it has this very opinionated abstraction of a wallet. And you might want to build something like a Nostr bot that does something with Bitcoin, and you don't want like the entire wallet abstraction. And so making it easier to kind of pick and choose which piece of that, I think, is going to make BDK work for more projects.
We are very fortunate to have lead maintainer Steve Myers in Nashville working out of Bitcoin Park. So I've gotten to know him quite well.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he's just a really amazing dude. I actually knew his brother, Richard Myers, first. And they're just both great. And he had a lot of the BDK team at Bitcoin Park for an offsite, which was awesome.
Fun.
So I got to meet Thunder Biscuit and Daniela, and incredibly bullish on that team.
Remember the whole go shake the hand of your rancher meme going? Well, go shake the hand of your Bitcoin library 100%. Implementer, like go shake 100%. Their hand.
Shake everybody's hand.
Shake everybody's hand. No, I just find it so cool, right? Because like they are doxed, right? They're known. So like you get to go meet these people in person.
Yeah,
and
it's such an incredibly high leverage project.
I mean, MVK said that like because they're doxed, you can shake their hand. I mean, I like shaking the hands of NIMS even more. Just because someone is not doxed doesn't mean you can't meet in person. You just have to be discreet about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rijndael, you got to come to Bitcoin Park sometime. I mean, we have a no photos, no video policy.
Dude, I have crazy FOMO not coming to Bitcoin Park. I need to get out there.
We'll pick you up from the airport. I know I can speak for P that we'll come caravan and pick you up together.
Yeah, man. I need to figure out when I'm coming out there, but it's gonna be soon, I think.
We just gotta find you a new NIM for that. Just invent a new NIM and we introduce you as like a different person.
Just be like John or some shit, whatever.
Yeah, we can do it, and you can change some aspects of your look just for that, and then that would be cool. It'll be kind of fun.
I co-host DC Bit Devs, and there's a lot of people there who like know me in person and who know me on Twitter and hadn't put together that they're the same person, which has been really fun.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's continue. So Odell has to leave very soon.
We got 20 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. By the way, if there is a specific story you want to like talk about.
OpenOrdex is pretty cool. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yeah, it is on the list. Yeah, it's really cool. Like that little website. Like, go ahead. Why don't you explain to us what it is?
So, with inscriptions popping off, like people want to be able to trade NFTs on Bitcoin, and you want to do that in a trustless way. You don't want to have to say like, send me Bitcoin and then I'll send you this NFT, or we'll escrow through somebody or something. So what you can do is you can create a PSBT where if I have some inscription that I want to sell to NVK, I can make a PSBT that locks in the inscription as an input and the price that I'm going to collect as an output. And then I sign it with a particular set of SigHash flags, send it to NVK, and he can basically provide an input that pays me and provide an output that receives the inscription. And it's a way that we can do like a trustless sort of atomic swap of
really decentralized trading. I mean, it is
decentralized.
That was one of those things that sort of go like, okay, fine, the inscription people are not that bad. Like it was. This is an invention like that is absolutely brilliant.
So OpenOrdex, it's a site that you go and you say, this is the thing I want to sell for this much money, and there's no server backend. It's all just client-side JavaScript. It puts together a PSBT for you and says, copy this into Bitcoin Core and provide like this set of command line options, and it'll sign it with the right set of SigHash flags, and then come back and paste it. And you can check a box and it'll broadcast it over Nostr. And then other compatible marketplaces can just like go and find these offers and render them in different UIs. And we have off-chain decentralized marketplaces for Bitcoin goods.
Mind you, the SigHash was kind of like non-standard. I can't. Yeah. So
yeah, it's SigHash single with LNURL-pay, which not all wallets support.
That's right. So we are adding support to that on Coldcard next release, because I think this is a great way for people to trade. And it's going to be much more than just words, right? Like this could be used for a lot of different stuff that can color a coin.
Well, I mean, especially with things like Taro or RGB, getting closer to usage. If we have constructions that plug into Nostr, that there's lots of client support for, then we can start building like decentralized exchanges for other assets, which is really interesting.
Yep. Matt, we can continue, Rijndael and Nick, but Matt, if you wanna make any comments, or I don't want to hold you just to the last minute. So.
There's two Oh, you want me to make my final comments right now so that when I
No, not yet. I'm not killing you just yet.
It was a pleasure being here. I look forward to the Charmian eCash episode that we'll be doing next week. I think everyone in the audience knows where to find me. I would like to talk about the Mutiny Wallet team announced their recent raise, which both us at 1031 and MVK personally were a part of. It's a project I'm very excited about. They actually announced it while we were on air recording. A Lightning wallet in every browser that is easy to use and tries to take privacy best practices into account by default. Really cool team.
I think it's more than that. I mean, like they are 3 people who can code.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Like really code, right? And you don't get that often.
And Paul knows UX too, which is important.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, to me, this is the type of wallet that, can onboard billions of people. And more importantly, doesn't rely on an app store. So, I mean, obviously you have some trust trade-offs in terms of the fact that you're operating this thing in a browser. I think they will have an app in the future as well.
They are.
But there's this world where, I mean, Bitcoiners that have been around for a while remember when you couldn't have Bitcoin wallets in the iPhone App Store. So there's a world where...
Remember people shooting their phones?
Exactly. Then they're blending their phones and stuff. So there's a world where the App Stores become a central point of failure and people want to use Bitcoin on mobile still. So that's important. But also, in emerging markets, Latin America, Africa, a lot of people have old Android phones. Maybe they don't have Play Store support. Maybe they don't have App Store support, but they do have Chrome browser, and then they can still use a Lightning wallet as a result. Pretty amazing project.
Yeah, it is. Like I gotta repeat that. That's the part that I really love is the fact that like you have like 3 technical founders who can do stuff. The business stuff is sorted out.
It's a killer team. I mean, it's like the kind of people that like whatever these 3 people are doing is gonna be awesome. Like you guys could have probably just invested in the team and said like, go build something.
Yeah, but that was exactly it. It's not, especially nowadays the JavaScript crowd. It's like there's very few teams out there that like you go like, you have an idea and then you look around the team and you go like a person doesn't say like, I can't do that, or I don't know how to, if you have a team that can just literally make any kind of software, it changes the dynamic, right?
But anyway,
one of the things that I was just going to say, one of the things that I was really impressed by when they started the project was I think you couldn't receive over Lightning at first. It was super limited because they have very specific requirements for what the privacy trade-offs that they want to make are. And they weren't afraid to put out a Lightning wallet that couldn't receive in order to like uphold the trade-offs that they wanted to make.
Yeah, they were like, you can't receive privately right now, so you're just not allowed to receive.
So you can't do it. There's no button.
I love it.
It's super based.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. Like this is one of the reasons why I helped launch 1031 was to support projects like this. This is what it's about, and I'm incredibly proud of these guys. I think we all agree on their engineering prowess, but they stood up in terms of like I'm just really impressed on how they've been running this startup to begin with from a business point of view, which is I'm just proud. I'm a proud friend and excited to support them here.
Yep. People with integrity. And the last thing you wanted to mention, Matt, before you go?
The Mulvad browser, I think, got a lot of shit, but is kind of amazing to me. Once again, I guess the trend of today's episode is just pragmatic trade-off balances. But they basically took everything that's in the Tor browser, but ripped out Tor. So it just operates on ClearNet. You can use it with a VPN if you want. You can use it with I2P if you want. You could use it with Tor separately if you want. But it has all the privacy defaults that everyone knows from the Tor browser. It basically carries over all the eyes that are on the Tor browser code base.
That's awesome.
And it's just a very pragmatic tool. And I plan on using this browser a lot. It's just a great tool that they released.
What's the state of I2P? Like, I mean, like the problem is it's been around for some time. And it was always sort of like, oh, there is this I2P thing
still like
nobody
that.
uses, but it's kind of there. It's still like that. Can you connect to a bunch of peers and get things going?
Yeah,
or?
We use it on Mercury quite a lot. I mean, it's not as well supported as Tor, and it's definitely a harder environment to compile the binaries, and we spend it on.
But is the anonymous set there because it's not like big enough network?
I don't think it's been beaten as much as Tor. That's the issue. And you wonder if it got the same level of DDoS that Tor did. Would it? We just don't know. My feeling is that it's just not been as beat up as Tor. So it's not worth it.
We need options.
I think I would love to see more development in I2P, like a Rust client. I think that would help a lot, because the C++ is quite hard to build, and not many people are going to want to ship a JVM version. But we'll see.
Well, I mean, somebody needs to make it in Rust, because that's what all the cool the cool kids do now.
And with Rust, you can use WebAssembly and ship it in a lot more directions. That would be good.
Mm-hmm. Right, Matt, any final thoughts before you go and we continue this endless journey here of software updates?
No, those were the two main ones I wanted to cover. And I'll still be here for 8 more minutes, and then I'll drop.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here. It's always fun to have you. All right. There's just 2 items here on Bitcoin Optac that I think worth mentioning. People can go look into the full Optac on the links. The TypeScript library for Miniscript descriptors released. Miniscripts are not easy, and I think that's a good thing, because now all the JavaScript implementations of wallets and things can just sort of drop this in and be capable. That's a great thing.
Oh, can we talk about, before I leave? Can we talk about? You have
Matt cannot help himself.
You have BitKey. You have BitKey on the list. I know you had it in your hand. The block hardware wallet that's coming out. You're literally holding in your hand right now.
I have one here.
Thoughts?
So I've given my feedback straight to the boss. I still think. So it's about trade-offs, right?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about before. So the trade-offs here, I think, are good for 1 billion people. I don't think they're good for Bitcoiners with a lot of money, which is not their goal. What else? I think that if they add a screen or a means of displaying the 4 last digits of an address for confirmation, they have a killer product. I think I've tried the UX on the app, and we've lost the boss's coins and then got them back 24 hours later.
Cool.
It did work, and I think like Ledger is toasted. Bitcoin only people. This is not going to have shitcoin. That's the promise, which does hinder the existing crypto market, but they're not after that. They're after like everybody else, which is 8 billion people.
Is it open? Can you use it? Does it support PSBTs? You can use it with Nunchuk or whatever.
It's not PSBT wallet yet. I don't know exactly. I think it's kind of like more like a blindish signer, like it's doing some other way of signing the transactions. And it's right now the app is multi-sig, but it can also be single sig. I think the app UX, it's already great. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that they do, right?
Yeah.
It's like good UX. So I think the trade-offs with the package that this is, with them subsidizing the cost of this to mass market, I think they're gonna have a massive install base, like just massive. I think this resolves the problem for everybody that's trying to do $500, $1,000 of Bitcoin better than anything else. However, I still find it a little thick. I like the feel of the rock and stuff. I think it's cool.
It's actually like made of stone, right?
Well, it's quartz. It's fake stone, but it's stone. It's the same shit that they make counters of.
Okay.
And it will make a great skipping rock. I was really tempted, and I tried to suggest that. And and I've heard that it's also IPX57. So maybe it could be skipped in a swimming pool if you take it out of the water fast enough. I still think it should be called skip key, because it's too, like, you hold it in your hand, you want to skip it like a rock.
Yeah, I saw Jack post that picture on Nostr. I thought he was going to do it.
I was holding that over water and making that idea. I guess he ran with it after. Point is, 2 things that are really cool. One is going to go mass market. I think they're going to have a winner of that. I have another non-competitor hardware wallet in the market because it doesn't have the Bitcoin features in it, and I don't think it will have.
Well, it competes with a tap signer more, right?
Different. No, the tap signer is like cheaper, and it's going to be even cheaper, and it ships flat, and it's just a message digest signer, right? So, like, in an ideal world, you're using a tap signer in one of these, because they will open up the spec of this so that other wallets can do it.
That is a battery in it as well?
Yes, that's why they have a nicer NFC field, because of the battery.
And what is that? You charge it with a USB-C or something?
Yes, and it also has the physical scanner, the fingerprint scanner, which, it's easy to fake, but at the same time, it's like good enough compromise for what it is. I mean, remember, iPhones were fingerprints forever.
Right.
I don't know this module like closely, so I don't know the extent of which this module is good or bad. Yeah, I mean, like overall, I think it's really cool. I think it's going to solve the problem of a lot of people in the world. It is Bitcoin only. The UX is going to be great, and I think we need it. I think it's going to open up the market to a lot of stuff.
The multi-sig setup is the phone has a key, block has a key, and that hardware signer has a key, right?
Yeah. But they could upgrade that or release this open in a way that other wallets will start integrating this. And then you can have like Nunchuk with one of these and a tap signer, for example.
Awesome.
What is the other thing? There was one more thing. Oh, because this, I think it's still TBD. I don't know the current spec, but because this has a battery for the NFC field, it would be really cool if this thing could be an NFC host, because then you can tap your tap signer to this before this has a pre-authorized something for your phone.
That's cool.
So you could have like a double air gap in here in a way, like it could do cool shit if this thing can do host. But normally most things are not FC hosts because NFC hosting is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, that's why the Coldcard doesn't have it, right? Like just yeah, way too much processing.
Yeah, not just processing; it's a completely different antenna network, right? Like it changes too much.
Everything, yeah.
Changes everything. It's like a whole different NFC thing.
It really is.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I'm kind of excited. It's the first hardware wallet that I'm excited about in terms of like mass market solution that is not the tap signer, especially because they're going to use like $80 billion public company sort of marketing to push Bitcoin into normies.
From a non-technical repercussions kind of situation here, I'm really curious what it looks like. I mean, regulators can go fuck themselves. I'm really curious what it looks like from a regulator perspective, because this will be multi-sig hitting the mainstream, a massive publicly traded company.
No, that's the app.
No, but I'm saying...
That's Square's app.
Right.
Like this thing, they will open source.
No, but that's not my point, MBK.
Oh, I see.
My point is they're going to say, rightfully so, that Block does not have custody of these funds because it's multi-sig. And there's going to be a bunch of regulators and policymakers that for the first time ever are going to learn about what the fuck multi-sig is. And I'm just kind of curious on what their response is, like how that interaction occurs, right?
Maybe this is the test, right? Maybe this is how they test this out.
It is. I think it is the test. Yeah.
I'm sure the lawyers were part of how you create the quorum
100%.
and who holds the keys on where, right? I don't know. It's cool. I mean, the boss is giddy about it too, which is kind of fun. It's like, here, come, let me show you something, kind of giddy, which is awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, gents. I got to bounce, but thanks for having me. And I look forward to listening to the rest of the episode later. Cheers.
Thanks, man. Your input was much appreciated. Go give Ray a full interview.
Cheers.
Take care. Okay, so MicroStrategy repays debt and buys more Bitcoin. Chad Michael is really... he's going to end up with all the Bitcoin like this because the weak hands just sell him the coins. It is remarkable that like they keep on doing this. Like it's...
He's trying to stay on top of that Treasury's leaderboard.
Yeah, that's right. Bitcoin Treasury is how we get them.
That's right.
All these guys are competitive.
Yeah, the missing piece for mass corporate adoption was the leaderboard.
Yeah, like, I mean, remember, right? Like back when I started Bitcoin Treasuries, it was just a meme and I added 2 companies. It was just 2. And just the joke was like, look, this is a leaderboard for guys who run public traded companies, right? And then there was 5 and then there was 10. And then like, God knows how many there are now. Things are moving. Okay, so Bitcoin product community launched to drive high impact free and open source and commercial projects with Bitcoin ecosystem. Bitcoin product.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. There's I think you did a Bitcoin.review about the Bitcoin design community.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is that, but for like PMs, right? Like
okay.
I think one of
all the people that don't ship anything.
Now they can get together on a panel and talk about it together, right?
That's right. Now they can commiserate over the fact that nobody's listening to their ideas and shipping it.
Yeah, I mean, like I'd say like a more generous interpretation might be.
I bet Steve Lee is in there. I'm
sure he is. Like I think in Bitcoin we have a lot of developers who are really, really good at like the low level, hardcore technical details. But where we have a gap sometimes is how do we productize those things and make like easy UX and make sure that things have like product market fit and that there's actual customers and users. And so getting more product minded people to be able to constructively contribute, I think is probably a good thing.
Yeah. It's such a, like, having an anarchic, meritocratic, open source sort of system makes it like nearly impossible the lives of designers and project managers, because nobody listens. Like, devs don't want to listen to PMs because they never want to work on the shit that needs to be worked on for the user, right? Like, they want to work on the catnip stuff. So that is, it's good to have. I mean, like, we do need it. I'm sure that when people do listen to it, like, good things come out of it.
So then we have two things on the list about ZeroSync, which is pretty cool. I don't know if you've been following that project at all.
I have not.
Yeah. So ZeroSync, what they're working on is, when you do an initial block download for, like, you start up Bitcoin Core, it downloads all the blocks, from Genesis until now, and constructs the UTXO set so that it validates everything after the assumed valid cutoff, and it builds up kind of a materialized view of the current state of the network. So the idea behind ZeroSync is, instead of doing that and having to download the entire chain, it would be really cool if you could just download a snapshot of the UTXO set and then download a zero knowledge proof that proves that everything that was in there followed consensus rules. So it's a way to, the dream is that you could just
It's
download.
A much better assume valid, what you're saying.
It's a much better assume valid. And, like, it would be cool if you could, have a mobile app that's a fully validating Bitcoin node, but you don't have to download 500 gigabytes of block data.
I mean, you can just have your UTXOs and that's it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That'll be interesting. And also, I mean, like, when you think about, like, trying to process, say, Bitcoin is 1,000, 5,000 years old.
Yep.
Trying to go back in time and rebuild that from Genesis, it's going to be tricky.
Yeah. So this ZeroSync project, like, they did kind of a formal release, and they're doing a bunch of, like, POCs, and then they also partnered with Blockstream, and Blockstream is going to be broadcasting these zero knowledge proofs over the Blockstream satellite offering.
Very cool. How big are the proofs?
So they don't have all of the proofs done. They're doing it in kind of phases, and there's like 3 phases for the proofs that they're generating, and I think they're on like the second phase. But I think it's going to be like a couple of megabytes. It's like, it's not.
So it's still quite big.
Well, I mean,
I'm thinking for ham radio, man.
Yeah. It's too big for doing like the AM radio, like bunker coin. Well, maybe not though, because if you, I don't know. Like, I think if you did like a snapshot and you said, we're going to, there you go. If you did a snapshot and you said, we're going to broadcast a proof for 24 hours of like a particular block height, like, you might be able to do it that way. But yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, no, I really want to resolve the bunker coin problems.
Yeah.
Who coined that term, by the way? Was it Casey?
I don't know.
I can't remember hearing way back. Like, it sounds like one of those amazing pejorative terms that like, we just own it.
Yeah.
Like, because the Mountain Man was a great one too, but I like bunker coin.
Yeah, like you lunatics are going to live in a bunker and broadcast your blockchain over ham radio, and it's like,
yeah,
yes.
Doing that every day. I mean, I do leave the bunker sometimes, but like, it is integral part of my life.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, if you use an Omni antenna, you don't even have to do that.
Perfect.
Okay, so Lightning news. Boy, we might have to skip some of these, but because like 50 of them. LNURL-Live, learn how to hack Core Lightning tutorial series. That sounds interesting. What are blinded paths and how do they work? Nice article. C equal Lightning node is now up and running. We mentioned them. These guys are going to do high liquidity providing services. The future of Lightning is now custodial. Sorry, it's non-custodial. Igor Korzakov, founder of Blue Wallet. Coldcard Wallet launched a new LN hub based on Wallet. By the way, all these are linked from the show notes. Bitfinex Labs releases some Lightning stuff. That could be, and also supports RGB assets. Okay. So if Bitfinex is doing, there's a bit of weight behind, which is kind of nice. This is a Checkpoint Casino. Lightning Prism. GG Publish Lightning Prism. What else? Lightning on Blockstream Green. First look. Collider Wallet launched. By the way, you guys are welcome to, like, if there is any story here that you guys have opinions about, please jump in.
Yeah, the Collider Wallet thing is interesting because they're doing synthetic stable coins over Lightning. I think it's backed by their order book. Like so
it's like a Terra thing, or no?
It's more like a perpetual swap. Remember the old is it BitMEX perpetual swaps? It's more like that.
Yeah.
Strike brings Lightning fast money transfers from the US to Vietnam. Route blinding. That's interesting.
Yeah, it got actually merged into the into the Bolt, which is exciting.
What's that? Bolt 765? No, that's the pull request. Hang on. Which Bolt number is that?
It looks like it touched bolts 2, 4, and 9. Yeah.
All right. Now some Nostri news. Ben Carmen, who clearly has nothing else to do aside from 2 companies, ran some analytics on Zaps on Nostr. 95% of users have their Lightning address set to custodial wallets. Yes, that's me. 91% of all Zaps by volume have gone to custodial wallets. Yes.
Makes sense.
Wallets of Satoshi is the clear winner, 50%. But here's the thing. Before Nostr, the volume of Lightning was probably like a fifth of what it is now?
Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy, the amount
of... a much bigger pie.
Yes. So we're growing it, and as the pie grows, a lot of these people who are there will slowly move into better trade-off wallets for Lightning, right? It's first we get them, and then we convert them.
Yeah, and I mean, and like Lightning addresses, I think the easy path for that really is custodial wallet. You know,
yeah.
It'll get better over time, but
I mean, Bolt 12 could be an integral part of Nostr too, right? I mean, like you could make a Zap that works over that. You could have the invoice, have that information, and then boom,
absolutely.
Done, right?
Yep.
DIY Nostr signing device launched by LN Bits. I don't see any point yet until we have key delegation for that. Self-hosted blog bounty. Oh yeah, that was my bounty. So there is one bounty claim for a ghost blog replacement using Nostr. So you just fork the repo and boom, you have your own thing and you can just brand it your way. And then there was a second guy who made it as well. So, and I think there's a third now. So I think like there's 3 alternatives to Ghost blog running on Nostr. So it's serverless too, which is kind of cool, except for the UI. So the nodes still live in the Nostr ether, but the client is cool because you make this client be branded with, say, your company blog stuff, and it just pulls notes that are related to a pub key that you want.
Is this the first bounty that you've had claimed?
Oh, no, I have, like, my bounties are getting claimed.
That's awesome.
And Fiat Jeff's bounties too. Like, people, there is turnover, and there's going to be a lot more of this. There's a lot going on. In terms of like people trying to find ways of creating more bounties and funding more development on Nostr. So that could get very interesting very fast. Okay, so second is a podcast RSS feed mirror replacement. The main goal is replace RSS for podcasts and eventually have podcasts that understand it. So like, you know, RSS feed is like, I have a lot of love for that standard, but it's fully centralized, is like, you know, XML garbage. So, like, I mean, Nostr is like the perfect replacement for RSS, like perfect. So, it would be really cool to have podcasts like releasing their RSS as Nostr notes, and also have a mirror bridge that does that too.
Yeah, I would love to see that in Fountain. That would be just because there's already such great Lightning support. It would be killer to have.
That's right. Decentralize all the things finally, right? And then there was another project by Rock who works for Square. I think he works on Cash App. I think it's called Simster, something like that. Is a platform for musicians, I think, to release music on Nostr with Lightning. Very cool. Privacy. We talked about Mulvard. Twitter banning search while using some VPNs. Twitter is really doing a great job at moving people to Nostr. So thank you very much, Elon. Please continue.
Keep it up.
Yep, keep it up. Next, they should do Bcash instead of Doge. That would do a nice boost to that move. All right, Justice Department investigation leads to takedown of darknet cryptocurrency mixer, chip mixer.
Wow, chip mixer's been around forever. That's incredible.
I mean, they were in borrowed time since day one, right? I mean,
for sure, but I mean, like, I don't know if it's more surprising how long they've been around, or that they finally got taken down, right? Because like they were so lindy that I think I kind of assumed that they were going to be around forever, because they've been around for so long. But it's interesting,
right? Yep. Running Dojo launches privacy phone. Not sure how I feel about that. Is that like a fork of graphene or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's like a white labeled, graphene phone or something.
Don't like it. Funding. Brink.dev receives $100K donation from the Draper Foundation for developing funding efforts.
Nice.
I don't know Brink too much. Oh yeah, I do know Brink. Brink is Schmitty, who also runs Optech, Bitcoin Optech. Get confused. There's not enough things happening in Bitcoin, It's totally easy to remember everything.
Optech is chain code.
Yeah, I know, but it's Schmitty who sort of mans that, most of the admin of it. Government and political. President's annual economic report to Congress attacks. I'm not interested. Fuck the government. Mining. Bitcoin's hash rate touched 400 exahash. It's hard to convey to people how much computation is that. Yeah. There's absolutely nothing on the planet. Like, if you probably combine all the deep state computers together, plus Amazon, plus Google, plus all the shit, it doesn't come to this amount of computation. Mind you, this is all purposeful SHA-2, but still,
it's a lot of hash. Yeah, it's insane.
It's crazy. It's crazy amount. Maybe if we have all the toasters in the world together, it would be equivalent use of power.
Christmas lights, tumble dryers. Yeah, for sure.
Events. Nostr Japan. I am rooting for the name Zapan to be the name for the Nostr conference. We've picked the next date. It's going to be early November in Japan. Nostri.chat, which was in Costa Rica last month, was phenomenal. So I can't imagine this will be shy of. And there's going to be a accompanying meetup in Hong Kong. And the two are going to be like virtually linked so that we get a Hong Kong thing going, and it's kind of cool. And and people that can't go to Hong Kong.
So the Costa Rica one, that was like an unconference kind of format. Is this?
No, there was a lot of like, there was a stage, there was a stream, there was like, I think it was more unconference in name. There was like, it was fairly conferencey.
Okay.
And a lot of like things going on at the same time, and in a river on the back of the property that we could go swim in between talks, which was kind of awesome. Yeah, that was special. The SatsX hackathon successfully united 11 innovative projects. The links are there. Adoption. Mercado Libre enables Bitcoin trading in Chile. El Salvador launches Kubo educational program. The El Salvador stuff like always sort of like makes me happy and then makes me like sad at the same time. It's like they're doing a bunch of like bullshit like restrictions with the Chivo wallet, and I mean, I get government be government, right?
Just can't help themselves. Yeah, for sure.
Right. It is what it is, but it is cool, and a lot of Bitcoiners have moved there, and they did sign a new law there that makes like Bitcoin or any crypto revenue or something like that is fully tax-free.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if that drives more immigration. Because like they were doing like you could get, I don't remember if it was residency or citizenship if you invested like 3 Bitcoin into the country. And I'm under the impression that didn't cause like quite the wave of, innovator immigration that they wanted. If they took fiat, I bet Bitcoiners would go. Like, Bitcoiners are not going to part with their Bitcoin. Yeah.
I think the permanent residency in Costa Rica is like $50K in a bank account kind of thing that gets stuck there. Something like that. So there's a lot of competition in that, right? I think the main thing for El Salvador is time. they need another 3-4 election cycles where things remain the same. It's still just like one guy, right? You need another 3-4 guys to come in, do their bit, and things remain in the same direction so that it doesn't just turn around, right?
Yeah, for sure.
This is an article here by Gigi, purple text, orange highlights. That's a nice name, Gigi. Gigi is very good at the names. How Nostr can benefit readers and writers by Gigi. Other Bitstamp suspends service in Canada. Wow. That was a long list.
I think we actually got through the list.
Yeah, as soon as like Matt leaves, we can actually concentrate and get things done,
It's amazing.
And I guess, I don't know, how are you guys feeling about time? Do you guys want to answer these 2 questions from the audience? And then we call it a day?
Sure, that sounds good.
Is it possible to create your own multi-sig vault on paper without using a wallet like Sparrow and Nunchuk? No. No. You can create a multi-sig quorum and script using 3 cold cards air-gapped. We let you do that using microSD cards, so technically you can do that without touching a computer as a coordinator, which is kind of cool.
If you already have XPubs, you can write a descriptor for a multi-sig, like using paper, but you're not going to be able to do anything useful with it. I think one of the places where people get tripped up is they see, okay, I can roll dice to generate a seed or something. Can I have like a whole wallet offline or on paper, like with no electronics? And like the biggest thing that's going to prevent you from doing that is that we don't have good ways of doing EC math by hand. So like you're never going to be able to do address derivation. So like you need computers at some point, and if you're worried about things, then you can use an air gap device. And
that's the solution. It really is. It's digital money for a reason. It kind of needs, digital capacity.
Yeah.
Okay. Will any combination of 2048 seed words generate a valid private key? I tried recovering a wallet with the first seed word replicated 24 times to see if it was valid, and perhaps had a history of transactions, but it was unsuccessful. It should check some. Wait, no, the 24th word is the checksum, so it's going to be a different word.
Yeah.
So no, it's not possible.
Yeah, any combination of 23 words and
would
then if
work.
you compute the checksum, like that would work.
And also probably mined already in people who just watches for poorly made seeds.
Bacon.
Yeah, or entering 99 times 0 as a dice entry. It is proper entropy, but it's a known source of it. So yeah, don't do that. Respect the entropy. Okay, I think that's it, guys. Is there any other projects or anything we didn't mention that you guys want to bring up?
I don't think so. I think we got through everything I could think of.
That was long and prosper here. Listen, thank you so much for surviving. I think we did 2 hours and a half today. So next time I'm going to try to not cut some listings and maybe have the full thing, because I feel like we fail if we can actually finish the list before somebody quits.
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job boringly reading the list. There were a couple parts there that were interesting, but I'm hoping that it was nice and boring for people.
That is the goal.
Yeah.
Anybody who's not interested in the actual content just like leaves the podcast at the first 5 minutes. That's why we have the list on the beginning.
That's right.
It's to not retain the audience or the incorrect audience. So listen, thank you so much. Rijndael, any final thoughts?
I don't think so. Looking forward to the eCash one. That should be fun.
Yes, I am really looking forward to that. Nick, pleasure having you for the first time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Any final thoughts?
No, thanks for having me. I hadn't really ever listened to this fully, so it's great you do what would probably take me 6 hours in two. So
we can do it in 2.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. You do all the hard work of scouring the internet to stay updated. It's good.
That's a lot of that is Johnny. Nick, where can people find you and find your project and other things you're working on?
Yeah, my name's Gregory _Nico on Twitter, and I work for Commerce Block, so go there and you see our side projects. Outside of Mercury, we do other things. We do Mainstay, which is a cleaner way of doing ordinals, although we don't really. It's a pay to contract. We can put 1 billion JPEGs in one transaction if anyone ever wanted to. But hopefully one day people will see the light and realize you don't have to use up so much block space. And that's been working since 2019. We originally built it to anchor sidechains. Remember them? And sidechains didn't really work out, but we still use it. We use it to make sure our Mercury wallet doesn't misbehave. And we have a few people who play with it all the time. And yeah, we do Lightning infrastructure as well, but do bits and bobs here and there. But yeah, thanks for having us. It was fun to listen.
Awesome. Thank you. Rijndael, I think people know where to find you. So
yeah, Rot13Maxi on Twitter or in random PRs around GitHub.
Awesome, guys. With that, we're putting this one to bed. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening. For more resources, check the show notes. We put a lot of effort into them. And remember, we don't have a crystal ball, so let us know about your project. Visit bitcoin.review to find out how to get in touch.